there's this concept of buying life insurance for your kid. I believe you can do it 10 days. What is a process like that?
When your child is born, you never in your wildest dream would imagine that they will be born with some type of terminal illness where they're not expected to live. Getting life insurance was the best decision that we've made, not just because we're agents, but because life insurance, when it pays out, gives you time to grieve, because bills come immediately.
One of the things that you talked about a couple times was death claim on your daughter. I can't even imagine. If you don't want to answer this question, you don't have to. Just wondering the process. It's like that's something no one ever wants to do, and yet I know you've in the past, I've in the past. Like there's this concept of buying life insurance for your kid. I believe you can do it 10 days. What is a process like that? And like anything that you wish you would have known, or is it just one of those things that you did everything right from that standpoint, and unfortunately it have, I guess share whatever you want to share. It's just one of those things that doesn't happen often. And I've never been able to ask someone their process in that.
Yeah, I think what was done right was from the start getting life insurance on her as early as 10 days old. Because when your child is born, you never in your wildest dream would imagine that they will be born with some type of terminal illness where they're not expected to live. And getting life insurance was the best decision that we've made, not just because we're agents, but because life insurance, when it pays out, gives you time to grieve, because bills come immediately. And as far as the process in filing a death claim, you can't file a death claim until you have an autopsy done and they have how she passed away. So having that process, having the hospital call you and say you have 48 hours to figure out where she's going to go because she can't stay here. They call you and ask for parts. And it's
So what you're talking about, so the morgue, whenever a loved one passes, since we're talking about this process, typically the hospital will hold on to the body for about 48 hours. And you as a family, you have a quick turnaround to find a funeral director who will then take the body and move it. So, imagine going through all of this, and then the hospital is also calling and saying, hey, do you want organ donation? And there's a quick turnaround with that because, of course, organs only last so long. So you have about another 24 to 48 hours to answer those questions after you just lost that loved one. So then the funeral director's calling saying, what are we doing? How are we doing this? What are the caskets? What does everything look like? And then in that process too, what we also recognized very quickly was the funeral business is a cash business. So you can't charge this on credit. You can't, figure out how this is going to work. They want cashier's check or personal check. And for us, again, looking at this, when they said, how are you going to pay for this? And we're like, oh, let me just go get my card. And they said, no, we need a check. And we were like, who can do this? Because for our daughter, the funeral expenses were $5,000 and she was a baby, right? So it's like, who these days has $5,000 cash that they can just write a check for? Maybe they do, great. But again, these are just things that you don't experience. Now, the thing as far as filing the death claim goes, the other part that we recognized too was you can make the arrangement with the funeral director where they will take some of the death benefit proceeds once that pays out and pay for your funeral expenses. So you can also choose that option if that's available to you.
Because they have the death certificate, and that's what you need to start the claim for life insurance is a death certificate.
You said autopsy. Is that because did you mean that like they need proof of death, is it just Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a lot that happens very quickly. Right. So the thing that we recognize with this whole process, again, we're so fortunate to be in the position where we are with the knowledge that we have with life insurance. So we can only imagine someone who doesn't have the knowledge that we have. And we're literally going through this like, oh my gosh, yes, we just lost our daughter, but we can take this information and we can share it with people so that they don't run into these mistakes in the future.
Yeah. And the whole,
just so that people know, like, you can't get term insurance on someone under 18, but this is a permanent policy.
right.
And whatever that looked like is if your baby daughter survived, it'd be an asset that would be able to compound and do all the things that we talk about. But since she didn't, I'm sure a greater death benefit got paid versus what you put in. And that's just an example of, my hope is that at least one person hears your story and says, you know what, I'm going to view my kids and start early, not out of fear, but just out of the principle of doing the right thing.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah, because you have the choice, parents listening, to look at this in two different perspectives. Exactly what you're saying, Caleb. You can look at this and say, okay, we're going to start our family legacy planning. And you have the ability to hack the system essentially by starting with your young children, right? Because insurance is cheap. You can get a larger death benefit. And then, you're planning for this to be passed on to your great grandchildren, your grandchildren, all of that, right? And if for whatever reason the life changes and, like us, you have to bury your child, you also recognize that you also have this asset, because as a parent, you may not be able to get back to work. You don't know what life looks like having had this experience and what things are going to look like. So at least know that you have insurance in any way to cover any member of the family whenever it makes sense.
Yeah. And it's especially everything in between that happens. Our daughter passed away on Friday, and on Saturday we were getting her ashes of the following week. So in the meantime, you have to you go online to file the claim. There's a little section, you hit file claim, you put in your policy number and the person, you send the death certificate as a PDF, and then for the most part, what they're doing is they're going to review your case, and that takes a little time. That takes a little time, regardless if you have everything in place. So our daughter passed away on Friday. Saturday, the following week, we had her ashes, and it took like another month before it actually got paid out. Not everybody can do that.
Yeah. Guys, thank you for breaking that down. And I don't know how openly you've shared that in the past, but I just appreciate you breaking that down. And my hope is that inspires action. I know it does for me. And so thank you for that.
No, thank you. And also too, to Caleb, you're the only one who's asked the question. I know that it can be challenging to walk those roads, but we are open books because we recognize this is our purpose to be here on Life to share this. So whatever other questions you have, we're ready to share it.
It definitely took a lot of work to get to this point, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I people should know the intention and the thought that you guys don't do anything lightly. And walking through with you guys, and I know that we've talked offline a couple times. I've known that there's been a lot on your heart, and I'm excited for this next season, because you guys, this is going to shape you and give you context and conviction that you've never had. And you've had a lot of context and conviction and ability to communicate. And so it's just one of those things where it's like, just want to thank you guys, but I'm excited for what you guys are continuing to build, because I just know how this is going to resonate with so many people and be inspiring. So thank you.
Thank you.